Hello everybody, this is Catholic Dad, episode number 453, the pedestalization of women. Where do we go with this one? Okay, so let's go back to the Garden of Eden. This is always a good place to start. So, God creates Adam, right? And Adam gets kind of lonely, right? And so what does God do? Well, he gives a companion made from Adam, right? So God created Adam, then through Adam, God created Eve. So that's the structure, God, Adam, and Eve, okay? Well, anyway, and so God gave them everything they could possibly have, except you can't eat from the tree of knowledge, right? So essentially you have to follow God's law, but you can have everything you want. You'll never have a worry in the world if you do those things. Well, anyway, so there's temptation in the garden. That's the serpent. Who does the temptation come to? The serpent comes to Eve and convinces her that she could be a god or godlike powers, and she will have all the knowledge of God. Well, she falls to this, right? And so she decides that she is going to place herself in the space of God, even though God told her not to, right? And she ate the apple. Well, the first thing she does is she goes to Adam and then says, hey, I ate the apple. You want to eat the apple? And now Adam has a choice, and this is the choice, everybody, okay? Either Adam can say to her, no, we're going to follow God's law and God's commandment, or we're going to do as you say, right? And so Adam has this choice. Like to tell the woman no, or he has a choice to please the woman. That's essentially what his choice is. And what he does is he decides to eat the apple and please the woman. So what Adam did directly was place Eve above God. And Eve was his authority now, and his job was to serve her. So there's an authoritative structure that was inverted in the Garden of Eden. And so Adam pedestalized Eve, or idolized her, or made her a lord, right? Or some kind of goddess, okay? And so now he is subservient to her. Now, Eve's not completely innocent on this whole pedestalization thing, is because she's the one that actually went and tried to pedestalize herself. And so what's the first commandment? The first commandment is, shouldn't have false idols, right? And so think about this. Adam put Eve in the position of God. So woman is man's false idol, and the fallen nature of man, that's his false idol. And then Eve placed herself in the position of God. So her ego, or woman's ego, is her own idol. That's her false idol. So now this is the fallen nature of man, and woman, by the way. And this is the fallen nature of humanity, and this is why Everybody Loves Raymond is such a funny sitcom. It's because the pedestalization of woman, and man always trying to clamor to get true, genuine authority over the woman, and he can't. Now, what is the appropriate authoritative structure? You got God is authoritative over Adam. Adam listens to God, and then Adam's authoritative structure over Eve, and she listens to him. So the wife is the obedient to the man, and the man has to love her as he loves his church, right? And so now, if that makes you mad, just read the Bible. It's God's law, not mine. Like the Bible says it. It wasn't me making this stuff up, but it kind of makes sense to me. Well, anyway, so man's false idol is woman, and woman's false idol is herself, or her own ego. So let's try to justify this or break this apart a little bit. Why would woman want to pedestalize herself? Okay, this is what I've come up with, and I could be wrong. Woman, her psychology is intricately linked to the survival of infants. It is, because she's the mother, right? And when times are hard and difficult, she needs as much resource as possible so the infant will survive. So throughout time, as humans evolve, right, she has this inclination to, I need more, I want, worship me, because if she survives and she has somebody worshiping and taking care of her, then the children survive. This makes sense, right? And so, and by the way, it's the wrong way to think about things, but it at least makes sense in the eyes of man. So when a husband says, I keep giving her everything she wants and she has no gratitude, it's because the authoritative structure is upside down, it's inverted, okay? What Adam should do is give her everything she needs, and maybe slightly more, but he shouldn't sit there and spend all of his time and his resource and everything else trying to please his wife, because he needs to go out into the world, right, to actually conquer the chaos in the world and bring home provision for the family. And so he actually needs to go out and do for him, and then he brings the excess home to her. And so the inversion in marriage, by the way, and the difficulty in marriage is simply this, is because the husband thinks that by pedestalizing the wife, he's going to please her. And it's not true. It's actually going to annoy her. It may please her in the courting process, but it annoys her over the long term. She wants him to go out and hunt. She wants him to go out and provide. She wants him to go out, and she also wants enough for her child and herself. And as long as she has that, I believe she will be contented, as long as he's not simping on her or pedestalizing her. The other problem with Eve is this, right? Or the woman or the wife, is she has a disordered want because of the survival of the infant. And so she needs to do a lot of praying and meditating and realize she has to be trusting and obedient to her genuine authoritative structure, which is her husband. And if we can master that as humans, right, and we can make our lives so much happier. Somebody said recently, a comment that the ungrateful woman will devour a man, and yeah, she will, but only if he allows it, right? The man actually can go out and he can actually tell her, no, you're not going to eat from the tree of knowledge. I'm the authority here, and you're going to listen to me. And she could either, yell and spasm at her, or she can willfully submit to the authority of her husband. And so this is why they, women, be obedient to your husbands, but husbands, love your wives like he loved his church. You have to be sensitive and gracious and giving and caring, but you don't have to worship her, and you should never worship her, because that would be a false idol. And if you worship your wife or your female equivalent or whatever else, you're guilty of mortal sin. That's pride. That's the highest of all mortal sins. Well, not really, but you get my point. And then women, if you believe you need more, and you're not satiated ever by a hardworking man, and you're not obedient to him, and you're always giving him grief, well, that's a false idol, and that's a false idol of your own ego. And so these are the things we have to master as humans. So how do you master such things? Man has to tell the woman no every now and then, and he has to stand firm on his ground. He doesn't fight, and he never gets emotional. That's the way it works. And for her to respect that authority, he has to go out and make himself great and come home, and that will command her authority, and her nature will then submit to rightful authority. That's the way this thing works. So men, if you're having problems with your women, which a lot of men do, you perhaps are the problem. You're the one that's constantly trying to please her. Don't do that, because you will always hit that fallen nature of woman where she wants more, and you will never be able to satiate that desire. But if you go out and you make yourself great and come home and lead appropriately, you can satiate desire that way. You don't worship your wife. And women, please submit to your husbands. And if you do that, that's what the Bible says, your marriage will be much happier. And that's just the way it works. So the pedestalization of women, and overall, one more thing, by the way, this is what's wrong with society today. We have hyper pedestalized femininity in society, and we have demonized masculinity, right? And so these women, they want no-fault divorce, they want abortion, they want contraception, they want me, careers, and then at the end of the day, you give them everything they want, and they're still complaining that it's unfair, and men are the patriarchs, and men have everything they want, right? That's the end of the day. And the men are like, well, what else can I give them? That's not the point. You're supposed to give them leadership. You're not supposed to give them everything they want. You're supposed to give them what they need, right? And that's genuine authority, provision, spiritual leadership, and fidelity. That's it, guys. That's all you have to do, okay? And don't simp on them, and don't worship them. And women, just realize, if your man's actually going out and earning a living and working hard and come home to you, be nice to him and be obedient to him, and the house will be so much more peaceful and so much more lovely. Well, anyway, this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. Please like or subscribe, get the Mass, and pray the Daily Rosary. God bless you all.